Today we are going to be making protein balls, which is something that I like to keep in the freezer, and you just have to defrost them for a few minutes and you can have a sweet treat that's actually kind of good for you. So if you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross and this is the Cross Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. And one of those ways is to make sure that you are reducing your food waste by using up some of those things in your pantry. So I did a video at the beginning of January talking about all the things in my pantry I was trying to use up, and these are some of the last of the little bits of like chocolate chips that need to be used up. And this is a perfect recipe for using versatile items that you might have in your pantry and mixing up some protein balls. Now you can keep these really simple and just do peanut butter and rolled oats and add some protein powder to it or some chocolate chips, however you want to make them. I'm going to show some of the things that I'm mixing into these today to make them nutrient dense and just really packed with all the goodness. So we have some hemp hearts here that we're going to be using, flaxseed until I'm getting low on this jar. I have some chia seeds that are going to go into this. And then for a little bit of sweetness, I'm going to add some chopped dates. And then I have some almonds that I'm going to add. I'm not going to add too many because sometimes they irritate me a little bit, but I can have a little bit of almonds at a time. And then I have some pumpkin seeds. We are really at the bottom of this jar. And I did want to show, this is like a salad topping that I make. Normally when I'm getting to the bottom of jars and there's just a little bit of this and that would work well for a salad topping. I'll put them together in a jar and then we can use it instead of like croutons and have something crunchy. And then those chocolate chips, we literally just have a few left in here, and these have been in this jar for like a year now, and this is all that we have left. They're still the dark brown chocolate cover and haven't went stale at all because they're in a glass jar with a metal lid. And then I have some shredded coconut. I have some peanut butter that I had in the refrigerator. And then I have this bag. So I actually used the last of my rolled oats the last time I made these. I just want to talk about long-term storage a little bit here and how it can help you save money. So I normally get my rolled oats in 25-pound bags, which lasts us a couple years with us being a smaller family size now. And I get the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free oatmeal that is available on my Amazon storefront in the 25-pound bag, and it gets delivered right to my house. I find this is the best price through Amazon other than getting smaller bags at a grocery store. So I have some of those in Mylar bags that I have in our long-term food storage, and once I open these up, I am going to fill up my gallon-sized jar that will be in my working pantry. So these are the ingredients that I'm going to use. I'll give you a couple measurements, but it's kind of just use what you have until it looks right. So I use the Wallaby brand Mylar bags, and I just really like the quality of them. This oatmeal has been in here for almost 2 years now, with it being sealed up and it had oxygen absorbers in it. I'm putting the second bag into this jar, and the 3 cups we're going to use for the recipe, it will make this have a full jar and no extras. Okay, Mike just walked out the door, so I can tell you the secret that I was going to tell you, but I always write Toll House on the chocolate chips, and they're actually the dark chocolate sugar-free ones that I get at Costco. He doesn't know, but if I told him that they were the sugar-free ones, he wouldn't eat them. And before we start mixing everything together, I had chopped up some of these dates. I was lucky, these actually already came pitted, but when you store dates in a glass jar with a metal lid, they will stay fresh in the refrigerator for about a year. So you don't have to be worried about not using them soon enough. They just dry out a little bit more as the year goes on, but they're totally still fresh and you can use them just like a dried raisin. Dates are just one of the produce items that are in our zero waste produce guide that teaches you how to keep produce fresh for weeks or up to a year for some of the items. Make sure that you check out our zero waste produce guide. Dates are just one of the 75 produce items that are in our book. This is linked in the description and it has a discount code also. So if you're tired of throwing away your produce, make sure you check this out. The first thing that we're going to put in the food processor is the oatmeal, and that's because I don't want to get my measuring cup messy with the peanut butter first. But we're going to grind this up and it makes it into oat flour when you put it in the food processor. If you like it to have a little bit more texture for the finished balls, then you could do half of it like ground up like flour and the other half still in the whole form. I'm just gonna pulse this really quickly. See, now we have some of it that is floury and then some that still has that texture to it, which is how I like my protein balls. The next step is to add 1 cup of any kind of nut butter that you would use. So I'm using peanut butter, but you can use any kind of nut butter in the protein balls. Look at that, my eyeball is pretty good. Okay. Let's go ahead and give that a little. I'm going to add a little bit of almonds in here. Normally I just grab a handful and throw it in. But for measurement's sake, that was 1/3 cup. And then we have the chopped dates that I'm adding for a little bit of sweetness. If you didn't want to use dates, you could do honey or maple syrup in it. Give those a go. And then we're going to add the rest of these pumpkin seeds, which is probably only about 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna add a tablespoon or 2 of the hemp hearts, flaxseed, and chia seeds. It ended up being 1.5 tablespoons. And I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of all these nutrient-dense things. Okay, so you want it to be where it forms a ball, and this is not forming a ball. So I'm going to add about another 1/2 cup of peanut butter to this so it sticks together really nicely. We are going to add some vanilla in it because that's what I like. So I'm gonna add a tablespoon of vanilla in it, and then the shredded coconut and the chocolate chips right here at the end so they don't get chopped up all of the way. Now, if you wanted some extra sweetness in here, you can add some maple syrup or some honey, and you can also add like vanilla protein powder or chocolate protein powder to it. There we go. Now it's doing what I need it to do. One more time here. All right, I am going to put this in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes and then I can roll it into balls and it will go into the freezer. So we're gonna put this in the refrigerator and clean up my mess. So I am forming these balls and they're going to go into this glass container, and we just put it straight into the freezer like this, and then you can take them out one at a time and eat them. So I normally let them chill out on the counter for about 10 minutes before we eat them, but we like these as a sweet treat at the end of the evening, which is really nice to have something a little bit different and a little bit like cookie dough. We keep the protein balls in the freezer and they will stay fresh for a couple months. And then this ends up getting a little bit warm and it's hard to form it into balls. You can either add a little bit more like maple syrup or honey to it, or just put it back in the refrigerator for a little bit and it will chill up again and be able to form into the balls really easy. So this recipe was one of the most requested off of one of our January month of meals videos, and so if you haven't seen those, we have been making a playlist of all the meals that I make and trying to post more recipes this year. So I hope you enjoy having a recipe that's a little bit different and versatile, that you can use up some of the items that you have in your pantry.